What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the No Name College Football Podcast. It is week 6 of college football. I think this is episode 5. We're back, second week in a row, finally. So hopefully we can keep this consistency up throughout the rest of the season. Exciting week in college football, a lot of good games. But yeah, let's go ahead and recap last week, week 5. Thursday, Friday, there wasn't too many games except for this Utah-Oregon State game. Cameron Rising did not play again. Utah is a back-end top 25 team because of their defense without Cameron Rising.
They're Iowa.
Huh?
They're basically Iowa of the Pac-12 without Cameron Rising.
Yeah, I agree. If they get him back, if they were to get him back this week, I don't really know the status on him at all. I haven't really been looking into it, but if they were to get him back this week, I wouldn't be surprised really if they end up with only one loss on the year.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
But Oregon State gets a big win after dropping a close game to Washington State the week before. DJ looked okay, but their defense looked great. And I think we had kind of talked about that at the beginning of the year before the year even started. Oregon State's got a defense. It's just if they put that offense out there. We had picked this. We both said if Cameron Rising play, Utah wins. If they don't, Oregon State wins it. So we both got that correct. Louisville beat NC State in a close game. One of the worst plays I've ever seen in my life by Brennan Armstrong to end the game. BYU beat Cincinnati in a close game. BYU quietly 4-1 over there. First year in the Big 12. And then getting to Saturday, real quick, I'll talk about my Clemson team. Our defense looked amazing, and our offense didn't look terrible. Cade had a good game. Just got to get the run game going. Tyler Brown right here, 9 receptions, 453 yards. I think he's a redshirt freshman or a true freshman, one of the two. Absolute stud. Next big Clemson receiver. Watch out for him. Talk about our app boys real quick. Got the app football shirt on right now. Game-winning kick. Shout out Michael Hughes for that one, 54-yard field goal. It was kind of crazy. A little bit of a shootout there over there in Louisiana. Get to the big game. You want to go ahead?
Yeah, Georgia's just got to put it together. I mean, everybody that watches just can see the talent, and they're just something's off right now. I'm not stressing it yet. I definitely don't think Carson Beck is the problem. Carson Beck's been good. Just got to get healthy and start putting it together. I'm not stressing about a 27-20 win, though.
Yeah, especially in a tough place. I think I even said it last week, in a tough place to play like Auburn. They got a good football culture there, even if their team is bad. And I'm not saying they're bad this year, but they're not, what they used to be.
We lose the turnover battle on the road like that, and it's tough.
Yeah. We picked this game. We both had UGA winning and covering, so we both got a half point for that since they did win, but they did not cover. Michigan, Nebraska, not a game that we picked. I can't really talk a whole lot about it just because I didn't watch a single play of it. But it just is another one of these Michigan wins where it's like I don't know how much they're really pulling out of their bag yet. And I don't really blame them. I mean, they definitely have the, pure talent to beat a team like Nebraska 45-7. And that's exactly what they did. But we're going to move on to that one. Now, this is a game that we picked. We both had Texas winning this game, but we had Kansas covering. However, the line when we picked was 16.5. And we thought, there's no way Kansas loses by 16.5, right? Kansas is a good football team. Texas is a good football team. And then all of a sudden, game time decision. We were actually, me and Jake were together on Saturday for a little while watching some games. And we see Jason Bean warming up on the sideline right before kickoff. And we're like, what? Jalen Daniels did not play this football game. It was a surprise to a lot of people, including us two. Kansas just could not get their offensive momentum going and got blown out.
They were in it for a little while. They just ran out of gas. I'm not saying Kansas would have won this game. I don't think they would have won. But For a team like Kansas, injuries just disproportionately impact them.
Yeah,
So it could have been closer, but Texas is a really good football team.
it's true. It's true. So again, we both had Texas winning, Kansas covering, so we both got a half point for picking that game. Penn State dominated Northwestern. Again, kind of like the Michigan game, not a game I keep my eye on. Now, okay, I did say dominated, but Northwestern was very much in this game until the third quarter. As you can see here, it was only 10-3 or 10-7 at halftime, and Northwestern had a lead, I think, for a little while this game. Oh no, it was 10-10 at halftime. I didn't even see this three right
Yeah,
there.
they had a lead for a minute.
So I mean, Northwestern making small noise over there in the Big Ten this year. But yeah, I can't really say much about it because I didn't watch any of this game. And here was a surprising result of the week. Washington only beating Arizona by a touchdown. Now, granted, if you do look at the box score, Arizona, I think, scored with like a minute left. That last touchdown with like a minute left. Didn't get the onside kick. But Michael Penix Jr., 363 yards, no touchdowns. So it's like kind of weird to just like see 363 with nothing after it. But another game I didn't watch any of. I missed pretty much a significant portion of the nightcap. So yeah, I can't really say much about it, but Arizona, another team like Northwestern that I expected to be really bad and is making small noise in their conference.
Yeah, and Washington just finally looking human, just like the rest of the country has.
That's true. That's true. Um, Real quick, because I was just looking at this, I skipped over it when we went over to Louisville, NC State. We did pick that game. We both had NC State winning, so didn't get a point for that. USC Colorado game that we picked. USC at the time was minus 21.5. Jacob went USC wins and covers, so he gets a half point for that. And I went USC wins. Hello. And Colorado does cover though. So I got a full point for that. Now this is the game that we watched the end of together. Colorado, great showing great fight, in the second half. They were down, I think it was like 41-14 at one point in this game. And as you see, the final score was 48-41. But yeah, great fight by Colorado to come back and really get in the thing. Came down to an onside kick. Caleb Williams is that guy. And yeah, I it's going to be hard for a team, I think, to beat this USC team unless they turn the ball over, or you outscore them.
Well, I just think USC is every Lincoln Riley team ever. Like this defense, some weeks they look like they're better, but then you get 40-piece by Colorado, who talent-wise should not be in the same stratosphere as USC. I'm interested to see what happens when USC starts playing these Oregons and these Notre Dames, see how their defense can hold up.
It'll be interesting to see for sure. Oregon, another dominant performance, beat Stanford. This is part of the biggest spread of the week, which we'll talk about that later. Notre Dame Duke. Now this is a game, part of the nightcap that I actually did get to see a little bit of. Great game, exciting game. Duke was right there and just couldn't capitalize.
Yeah, it was tough for Duke. It was a 4th and 16, and they allow Sam Hartman to scramble and convert it on the game-winning touchdown drive.
Yep.
That just took the air out of the sails for Duke.
Yep. It was a good game though. Great game. Great showing by Duke. I think Duke kind of solidified that, like, hey, we're here.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're a good football team. Notre Dame is a good football team. I will say that. Yeah, Alabama dominates Mississippi State. Another game I didn't really see a lot of. Jalen Milroe ran the ball more than he threw it. It's funny thing to see. Alabama kind of doing this thing I think I might have mentioned last week where they just kind of play good defense and outscore you somehow.
Yep.
Even though their offense isn't that good, Alabama's still right in the thick of things. So is Notre Dame. Game of the year so far?
So far?
Potentially.
Yeah.
Ole Miss LSU, if you want to talk about it, because this is part of the night portion. I did get to see the end of it, but if you want to talk about it, because I'm pretty sure you were watching it, right?
Yeah, defense in this game was completely optional. I mean, Ole Miss was going up and down the field. LSU was going up and down the field. I mean, you see Jaden Daniels, 414 yards and 4 touchdowns and a loss. It was just a tough game. Now there was one play where they gave LSU a touchdown, and it was not a touchdown at all, and it actually put LSU up. But Ole Miss was able to come back and win. Ole Miss is also one of those teams you say is still very alive in the West.
Yeah. I mean, Jaden Daniels did literally everything he could.
Oh yeah, it
Keep up
was
with him.
definitely it was on everybody but him.
Yeah. Quinshawn Junkins, I think is his name. Great game for him, 177 yards. Yeah, Ole Miss still in the thick of things. I mean, in reality, LSU and the SEC West in reality is still kind of in it.
They only have one SEC loss.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they beat Alabama. I don't know if they played Tennessee. They beat Tennessee too, though, and Ole Miss drops two. Boom, you win, I guess. Yeah, we picked this game. Line at the time was LSU -2.5. I had LSU covering. Jacob, you called it. Ole Miss wins the ball game. So congrats to you for getting a point on that one. Oklahoma, Iowa State, not a game watched. Oklahoma still putting those points up.
Dylan Gabriel.
But yeah, Dylan Gabriel, I can talk about him in a little while. But it's that week for Oklahoma. You're in or you're out at this point for them. Tennessee, good little performance right there against South Carolina. I don't think a lot of people saw that one coming. We did pick this one. Oh, we did pick Notre Dame too. Sorry, I skipped over that. Notre Dame was -6. I took Notre Dame -6, which they did cover. You had Duke winning, which results in no points. Tennessee was -11.5 when we picked. I had Tennessee winning, South Carolina covering, so I got half a point. You had South Carolina winning outright, so you got no points on that one. Not a game I watched. Did you watch any of this Tennessee South Carolina game?
I watched some of it, and prayers up to Brew McCoy. He had a terrible injury in this game. Just praying that he's okay. But Tennessee was dominant. Tennessee showed that they might still be in this SEC race. Everyone kind of left them for dead after that Florida game. But Tennessee's still very much alive.
Yeah. That is one thing I can, I hate Tennessee. I hate Josh Heupel. I'm just gonna be honest with you, you know what I mean? But that's one thing that I can say good things about them. When they get beat, they come back. They don't just lay down. When they get beat, they come out there and they fight. So
There's a lot out in front of them. A lot of tough games out in front of them.
oh yeah,
But
sure. I mean, 4-1. 4-1. If you win out, you win the SEC. That's playoff talk for sure. I think Tennessee could potentially be back in the thick of things. When they could have easily just laid down. Florida, we kind of knew this one was coming.
Florida's a good football team.
Yeah, we kind of discussed it. They got a big win against Tennessee. Congrats to them, but I don't think they're that good. We picked this one. It was Kentucky -1. We both took Kentucky in covering. We were wrong on the scores though. We didn't think Kentucky would put up 33. Shout out Ray Davis. 6 carries, 280 yards. Insane. Kentucky, another team like Oklahoma. This is it right here. This upcoming week, which we'll get to later. This upcoming week is a huge week. For those teams.
Kentucky.
Missouri handled Vandy. And then the only other game that we picked was West Virginia TCU. Just make sure. I mean, Texas A&M beat Arkansas. James Madison 5-0.
No?
Shout out our boy Riley White on that one. This will be at the bottom because they were a night game.
There it was. Yeah.
West Virginia TCU. West Virginia, man.
Who saw that coming? 4-1.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Wow. This was a good game. I did catch the end of this one. Not very classy move by the TCU fans when a West Virginia guy is getting literally like stretchered off the field and they're booing. That kind of made me mad. But yeah, did catch the end of this one. Good ball game. Shout out West Virginia, I guess. I mean, what?
West Virginia's got a really good defense, and their quarterback has been good. They're playing a lot of young players up there, and Neil Brown might save his job.
Yeah, I agree. So you had TCU winning outright. did not happen. It was TCU minus 12.5 in this one. So huge win for West Virginia. I had West Virginia covering, but TCU winning, so I got half a point. So final score from last week: Jacob 4.5 points, me 5.5 points. Thank you. I'll take that one. So let's get it. Let's just talk about. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick because let's just look at it. Talk about our polls real quick because it's usually how we do this over here. I don't know why this advertisement is so big. Oh, there we go. So top 4 stayed the same, respectable, whatever. Top 10 pretty much stayed the same, except for this flip-flop of Oregon USC. And I feel like all of these moves were kind of just like reasonable. Like there wasn't anything too crazy this week in the AP poll. Utah dropped 8 spots to 18. Duke only drops 2 spots to 19. Kentucky has entered the rankings at 20. LSU drops 10 to 23. Tennessee drops 1. And Louisville, welcome to the top 25, Cardinals. The only thing that is outrageous to me here is the fact that Maryland is not ranked.
I would put Maryland in over LSU. It's not that I think Maryland's better than LSU. It's just LSU's got 2 losses. We're 5 weeks in.
I agree. I'll run through mine real quick, just super fast. I'll run from 25 to 11, and then we can go over top 10 after that. 25, Fresno State. 24, JMU, James Madison. 23, Louisville. 22, Duke. 21, Utah. 20, Ole Miss. 19, Missouri. 18, Miami. 17, Oregon State. 16, Kentucky. 15, Maryland. That's why I guess you could say, oh, okay. I guess that's why you could say us saying it's absurd. 14, UNC. 13, Oklahoma. 12, Washington State. 11, Notre Dame.
Okay. So I have 25 JMU, 24 A&M, 23 Louisville, 22 Duke, 21 Mizzou, 20 Kentucky, 19 Maryland, 18 Utah, 17 Oregon State, 16 UNC, 15 Miami, 14 Ole Miss, 13 Washington State, 12 Oklahoma, and 11 Alabama.
Okay. And then top 10, Bama, Southern Cal, Oregon, FSU, Texas, Washington, Ohio State, Penn State. And for the first time, I think, in this podcast's history, the Georgia Bulldogs are not number 1 for me. They are number 2. Michigan's number 1.
Yeah, well, you'll notice a common theme. 10, I have Notre Dame, 9 USC, 8 Oregon, 7 Washington, 6 Ohio State, 5 Penn State, 4 Florida State. I've got Georgia at 3. 2, I have Michigan, and 1, I have Texas. I think Texas has just been the most impressive team so far.
Yeah, and that's completely reasonable. We're still at this point where it's starting to get around, but we are still kind of at the point of the season where it is hard to rank these top teams because some teams really haven't played like a good team yet.
I'm going to be honest, that starts for some of these teams this week.
No, yeah, I agree completely. Running to the Heisman real quick. Number 1, if it's not Caleb Williams, then it's got to be Michael Penix Jr., who I have 2. But and if it's not one of those 2 guys, you are crazy. 3 is Bo Nix. 4 is a new entry into my top 5 with Dylan Gabriel, who was been on my dark horse past couple of weeks. Even when we weren't recording, he's been in my dark horse conversations. But I mean, if he beats Texas this week, he's probably jumping to 3. Dude's stats are great. And they've been putting points up. They've been winning ball games. And at number 5, also a new entry for me is Brock Bowers.
Got him top 5.
Yeah, crazy week for him. Crazy past 2 weeks for him, and he's honestly been, I feel like, the catalyst to y'all's offense so far.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of injuries and stuff on offense. Him and Carson Beck have definitely been the 2 just guys that have been winning us games.
Yeah. And then dark horse conversation for me is still Cam Ward. He was there last week for me. And then I meant to write them down and I forgot. What's the Mississippi? Jackson Dart.
Yeah.
Great stats from Jackson Dart. So he's also in the dark horse for me. Yeah, that's all for me from Heisman.
So I still have Michael Penix Jr. 1, Caleb Williams 2, but they're 1 and 2. Doesn't really matter what order you put them in. 3, I have Quinn Ewers. His numbers are ridiculous. They're, in my opinion, the best team in the country. Number 4, Bo Nix. And then number 5, I have Sam Hartman. I know they've lost a game, but Sam Hartman against Duke just made clutch play after clutch play to win them that game. My dark horse is number 1, I have Brock Bowers, who you already touched on. But number 2, I have Jonathan Brooks, the running back for Texas. He went over 200 yards on Saturday, and that Texas offense is just incredible this year. And like I said, I've got them as my best team in the country, so I definitely think he's going to be in that conversation.
Yeah, for sure. We had talked about it the other day while we were on Heisman real quick. We were on the phone. We got a buddy, shout out Riley White, that we talk on the phone, me, Jacob, and Riley a lot, just about football in general. And we were talking about, Heisman stuff the other day, and we kind of all agreed that it's Caleb and MPJ right there at 1 and 2, right? But then after that, there's just a big collective group of players right now that you can discuss being in that top 5.
Yeah, gosh, we didn't even mention.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
AJ
of
McCarthy and
tons of players. It's insane right now. But we won't get into that. So let's talk about this week. Let's do our little spread segments that we like to do over here on the No Name College Football Podcast. Biggest spread of the week, an absolute insane game to have to be picking right now for biggest spread of the week. I was shocked to see it. We have the Ohio Bobcats, correct? Bobcats, which is the Kent State Golden Flashes. With the line sitting at Ohio minus 26. Which is hilarious.
Action, baby.
You got an input on this?
I'm gonna take Kent State to cover, I think. For really no particular reason at all.
That's facts. Just because you took Kent State to cover just to be fun, I'll take Ohio State to cover, or Ohio to cover, sorry. Ohio University to cover 26 points, which is insane to me because I feel like there's a legitimate shot, even if this is a 4-1 versus 1-4 matchup, that Kent State could just win this game just because action. Last week in biggest spread of the week, there was a tie. If you watched last week's episode, there was a tie. It was Oregon, Stanford, and Penn State Northwestern, both minus 27. Jacob took both to cover, which he was correct. And I took one covers and one doesn't, which was halfway correct because one did cover. So I guess I think it was the Northwestern game. 27. Yeah, it was Northwestern. They were off by 1 point to make it a push. So that was fun. And then Super Dogs. Super Dogs last week, I took Arizona State plus 12.5 versus Cal, which they lost by 3 points, which was a cover. Jacob took Nebraska plus 17.5 versus Michigan, which they did not cover. So the point for me, no point for Jacob last week on that one. This week, I am taking the Scarlet Knights of Rutgers plus 13 against Wisconsin. Give me Rutgers, baby.
I like that. That's a good pick. For my super dog, I've got Wyoming and Fresno State. Wyoming is at home. They got a ranked Fresno State team coming in. Wyoming's been really, really good this year. Their one loss is to Texas, and they were tied going into the fourth quarter. They beat Texas Tech. They beat Appalachian State. I think with Fresno State at home that they cover that 6 and they win outright.
I'll take that. All right. Awesome. Well, let's preview this week. Let's talk about this week. When we first got on here, right before we started recording, Jacob said, this is an amazing slate. I haven't really looked at it a whole lot, but I'm
It's a
excited.
sneaky slate.
We had some football last night. Fun times. I've mentioned him a couple times. Our friend Riley last night, and I think he said that yesterday started. I think it was like 60 something straight days of football.
Yeah.
Because next week there's Tuesday games. Jacob will be in attendance of one, Appalachian State, North Carolina. So hopefully we can try to record and drop next Tuesday before those games are played. But who knows? We don't know the schedule. Nothing crazy going on tonight. We are recording this on Thursday. If you did not know. Friday, a little interesting game: Kansas State, Oklahoma State, Nebraska, Illinois, but nothing crazy we're going to talk about. Saturday. Oh man. Uh, yeah.
You can pick your Clemson game.
We're all right. We don't need to talk about Clemson. Well, we'll pick Clemson. Why not? I had wrote it down. We'll pick Clemson. What do you got, Jacob?
I'll take Clemson to win and cover. I'm not super high on Wake Forest on the defensive side of the ball, and y'all play at home.
Uh, I'm gonna be honest. I hate to do this to my team. Give us the win. Give me us winning for sure. Clemson win. Give me a Clemson win. But give me Wake Forest to cover. I don't know if we can score 21 points.
This next one is ooh.
Uh, I just realized I wrote down Rutgers, Wisconsin for us to pick. That's hilarious. So now I have to double down on Rutgers pretty much.
Okay.
Man, off rip the big boy, the big game of the week, the
The Red
Red
River
River
Shootout.
rivalry. Had to make sure I said that slow so I could get it out right. Oklahoma, Texas, neutral site, correct? Yes, Cotton Bowl, Dallas. Texas is -5.5. This game has been big over the past couple of years, but it has not been as big as this one this Saturday will be. Number 3 versus number 12. Winner has a very nice path to the college football playoff as long as they win ball games, don't lose to somebody like Baylor or somebody in the Big 12. It's saying that I just had to use Baylor as an example of a bottom feeder of the Big 12. That feels so wrong.
They're bad
Um,
this year.
anyways, Texas -5.5. Jacob, you want to pick?
I feel like most of the country has not watched Oklahoma play this year. Oklahoma's a really good football team. I'm gonna go ahead and say this too. The winner of this game is a lock for the Big 12 title game, at least to make it. Both of these teams might get there, but the winner of this game is a lock. But with all of that being said, I do think this is the best team that Texas has played this year. Sorry, Alabama. But with that being said, I will take Texas to win. 5.5 is interesting. I'll take Texas to cover hesitantly.
Man, I'm gonna let you know what. This week is testing me. Like it really is. It's honestly testing me. And I feel like I just got to ride my. Also, wow, I just also realized this. Sorry, I just got distracted. I also wrote down Fresno State, Wyoming for us to pick. So not only are our super dogs, no super dogs,
Double
we're
down on them.
picking their games. Um, but yeah, what I was saying is this week is testing me big time. I got to ride with my guns. Give me Dylan Gabriel. Give me the Sooners.
I'm not mad at it. I'd love to see it.
Give me them to upset the Longhorns and the Red River rivalry. There we go. And you know what? Let me just go ahead and say it. I'm also riding my guns. Give me Talia. Give me the Terrapins. They're upsetting Ohio State at their place. Let's go, baby. Give me the Terps.
As much as I would love to ride that, Ohio State's coming off a bye week. I just can't do it. Give me Ohio State to win, but 20 points is way, way, way too much. Give me Maryland to cover 20, but I will take Ohio State to win.
Man, I'm getting tested this week. All right. Also at 12 o'clock, let's talk about it. It's still a ranked matchup. 21 versus 23. Not as big as it would have been if LSU would have won last week. they're at Missouri, Missouri, very quietly 5-0, which makes me mad because I was talking to a Missouri fan during this off season while I was out in Kansas City, and I had told him about me and my buddy, we do this college football podcast, stuff like this, like I watch a lot of college football or whatever. He's like, what do you think about Missouri this year? And I was like, man, I don't know, I got to look at their schedule. And I looked at their schedule and I said, I'm gonna be honest with you, man, y'all's ceiling is like 7 to 8 wins, and now they're sitting here at 5-0. Very interesting. LSU's -4, but with all that being said, I gotta stick to my guns still, man. I have to. Missouri's only going to win 8 games max. Like I said, give me my boy Jaden Daniels and give me the Tigers to win and cover.
I'm gonna go a step farther than that. I agree with you that Missouri's probably only going to win 7-8 games this year. With that being said, give me LSU to win, give me LSU to cover, and give me LSU to blow Missouri out.
Mm.
Jaden Daniels will have a field day against Missouri.
Okay. Next game is Rutgers, Wisconsin. So Wisconsin is -13, like we have previously talked about. This game is at Wisconsin, which does give them a slight advantage, in my opinion. Tough place to play. I know I just took Rutgers in my super dog. But give me Wisconsin to win and give me Rutgers to cover.
I think I'm in the same boat. There's no outcome of this game that would surprise me, though. If Wisconsin wins by 3 scores, I'm not surprised. If Rutgers outright wins, I'm not surprised.
No, yeah, for sure. But I wanted to pick this game. Just let's look at it real quick. These two teams only have 1 losses each.
Yeah.
Rutgers is 4-1. What?
Maybe a bowl game on the horizon for Rutgers this year.
Insane. Yeah, crazy. Let's keep moving here. Interesting game right here, Marshall NC State that we were talking about earlier. This is the next game I want to pick. Washington State is at UCLA. Remember, UCLA was 3-0 ranked. They are now coming off of a bye week, I'm pretty sure, after their loss to Utah 2 weeks ago, in which their offense looked absolutely atrocious. But their defense looked I was gonna say their defense looked good, but with Cam Rising out, that Utah offense isn't very good. So that's a tough place to navigate. Washington State, 4-0. My boy Cam Ward looking great. The Cougars are not favorited. Hold on, I just saw that. UCLA is favored in this game by 3 points.
I'm taking Washington State outright. They're both coming off bye weeks, and I just don't know if UCLA can score with Washington State.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That was exactly the route I was going, but that just kind of left me speechless. I'm shocked that they're not favored. Yeah, give me Washington State outright.
And I hate to be mean, but the fact that this game is played at UCLA, the only advantage is the game is not at Washington State. There's not really a home field advantage there.
Yeah, that's insane. Wow. Here's a game that was close to the biggest spread of the week, Florida State, Virginia Tech. Another game I would like to talk about. Alabama at A&M. Both 4-1, both 2-0 in the SEC West. Loser is kind of eliminated from going to the SEC championship game. Winner is in a great position to get there. Alabama -1, A&M. You said lost their quarterback for the year, correct?
Right, but Max Johnson is stepping in. He's got a lot of experience, started a lot of games.
Former LSU, correct? Right. Yep. Okay. So he knows the SEC well. Kyle Field, top 5, probably consensus place to play in college football. Hardest place to play in college football. But man, this is another one where I was saying earlier, this week is really testing me. I've been on the Alabama train this year for some god awful reason. I've been on the Alabama train this year. Yeah, you're gonna have to give me Alabama outright just because it's -1.
The last 2 years, this game has come down to the last play. Um, and this year it might not be any different. I think the fact that Alabama struggles on the road and the A&M seems to be a better football team this year, that A&M will beat Alabama in Kyle Field for the second time in a row.
Hmm. Okay. Another game in this 3:30 time frame I want to talk about real quick. Syracuse 4-1, coming off their first loss of the year to Clemson, which we previewed earlier or talked about earlier. Sorry. Um, Going to Chapel Hill, you know, little down the road from us.
Have you
Um,
seen the news about UNC?
huh?
Hez Walker is now eligible to play
Wow. Did not I actually did not know that.
as of today.
Oh, wow. Good for him. UNC -9.5 at home against Syracuse. Syracuse's offense did not really impress me too much. But I know they're playing North Carolina's defense. Over under 59.5. Give me the over. But majority of that over is going to be scored by North Carolina. I'm gonna take UNC to win. 9.5 is really tough line to take. Um, but I am gonna take UNC to win and cover. Yeah.
I'm going to do the same. I think there's going to be a lot of emotion at Chapel Hill because the Tez Walker thing was such a big deal there. I think that the crowd will be into it, and UNC's a really good football team. I think they'll win and cover.
Sure. You know where we're going next? The Georgia Bulldogs.
Oh God.
Kentucky 5-0. Finally got in the rankings at number 20. They're at Sanford Stadium in Athens, Georgia, home of the two-time defending national champions. You're welcome for pointing that one out. UGA again for the second week in a row, -14.5. Jacob isn't a big fan of the night games over there. What you got?
I think that Georgia's eventually gonna wake up, and I think it's gonna be this week. Kentucky was so good last week against Florida, so I hate to put them down, but I just think Georgia at night, ranked matchup, that place is going to be on fire. I think Carson Beck will have his best game of the season. I think the Georgia defense will wake up and shut this Kentucky offense down. Ray Davis will get his yards. Um, but I think Georgia will win, and for the first time this year, will cover a spread.
Yeah, I don't think Devin Leary can get the job done. Gonna be brutally honest here.
I don't either.
I don't think he can get the job done. Dude, it's gonna be popping there. But y'all are allergic to night games, man. Y'all are allergic to night games. I think there is a hangover from Kentucky's offense, though. And I think y'all will be able to put up enough points to definitely beat them. I'm not going to take them to upset y'all. I've got Georgia winning. But give me Kentucky to cover because Georgia's going to win by 14 points exactly.
It's a fair take. I mean, last year people forget Georgia only beat Kentucky by 10.
Yeah.
And that was a week after Georgia blew out Tennessee. So I don't think Georgia loses this game.
No. Intriguing game. I almost took this as my super dog was Minnesota plus 18.5 against Michigan, but they've been bad this year. Another one. And it's like, wow, this is a ranked matchup in week 5. Notre Dame and Louisville at Louisville. Night game, 7:30. Notre Dame 6.5. Let me hear it.
They're 5-0. They deserve their credit, but I'm just not in on Louisville. Still, a lot of people were in on them in the offseason. I wasn't a believer then, and I'm not a believer now. But with that being said, I don't know. It's tough. I think I'm going to take Notre Dame to win and cover.
Respectable take. I'm struggling. I was trying to sit here and like write what I was going to say down, like what my pick is. and my mind immediately to my hand started writing Notre Dame wins and covers. I went with it last week. It was 6 last week. It's 6.5 this week, which to me is kind of insulting if I'm Duke, because that's essentially Vegas saying, "Hey, we think Louisville is just as good as you are, Duke." And I'm really, really wanting to take what I said I'm going to take, which is Notre Dame minus 6.5. But I've already put enough upsets on my board this week that I feel like I just got to do it one more time.
Okay.
Give me the Cardinals. Give me the
Okay.
Cardinals. Why not? Because I'm either going to look like an absolute idiot this week or look like an absolute genius. So why not? Intriguing game here. Ole Miss has got to play Arkansas. I still don't think Arkansas is a bad football team. But man, they just haven't been what I thought they were. You know, probably the most disgraceful Power 5 team in all of college football has got to play 4-0 Miami. Miami's first ACC game. And then
I never thought that Miami could be 4-0 like this with a win over A&M and nobody be talking about them.
yeah,
That's the best possible thing for them.
yeah. And then this is a game that we have talked about earlier because it is your Superdog game, and I actually had wrote it down to pick it because yes, Wyoming is 4-1. Fresno State is 5-0, and they got to go to Wyoming.
I'm telling you, dude, Wyoming is a good football team this year.
Yeah. So you're taking Wyoming. I know that.
Okay.
For the upset, but give me the Bulldogs, man. Give me the Bulldogs and 6. I got a hot take here. It's only 6 points. Give me Fresno State to win, but give me Wyoming to cover.
Okay.
Close football game. Yeah. Oh man, we forgot to do a segment earlier, dude. We got to talk about our favorite game of the week last week.
LSU Ole Miss. Move on.
Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Duke. Yeah. Most surprising game. I'll just say it real quick. Most surprising game. I've got 3. Washington, Arizona, which I talked about. Baylor, UCF, because that was the absolute biggest blown lead of the century, except for the Falcons blowing 28-3 in the Super Bowl. Sorry, I had to bring that up. And then Georgia Tech lost to Bowling Green, which is insane to say. All right, last but not least, the hottest portion of our show, Paul's, our hot takes. You got any?
Yeah. I'm gonna go with a homer hot take. Carson Beck throws for 400 yards and a Georgia 3-score win over Kentucky.
Okay, Carson Beck, 400 yards. Georgia, 3-score win. All right, I like it.
Not at least 17.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Man, I put no thought into this on so week. But you know what? I feel like this is a double down here, and I don't want to do stats because I did stats last week. And speaking of that, we were both wrong on our hot takes last week. If anybody wanted to know, I had Caleb Williams throwing for 500 plus yards. He was somewhat close. And Jacob had Riley Leonard 300 total yards, 4 total touchdowns, which he was not really close. I wasn't really.
He had a great game though.
He did have a great game, yeah. But yeah, I guess I'm gonna double down. I don't want to go stats this week. Give me 3 big upsets this week. I guess would be my hot take because I've got Oklahoma beating Texas, Maryland beating Ohio State, and Louisville beating Notre Dame.
So 3 top 10 upsets.
3. How about 3 top 15 upsets?
I'm with it.
3 top 15 upsets. Yes. Go Wildcats. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Well, I guess that's all. We will see y'all next week. I promise you that. Hopefully. At some point. We will see you at some point next week. But yeah, we appreciate y'all watching as always. We appreciate the support, and we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Peace.